G'day, friends and fans. Welcome to Writing Corner number 40, World Building, Part 8, Factions. Now, when it comes to world building, whether it's a planet, a city, or a country, or just the countryside village, most of the principles are the same. But before I begin, I'd like to remind you that this channel is sponsored by people like you, an audience. Sorry, hold on. Right. My computer's glitching. I'm like trying to move the mouse and nothing's happening. Okay, let's try again. Sponsored by people like you. So please take a moment before you leave to like, share, subscribe. Don't forget with YouTube, you need the notification bell. Otherwise, you just might as well just, not do anything. It's the problem. YouTube have separated the two for some odd reason. But the channel's sponsored by people like you. So check out the links in the description below. One way to support the channel is to buy coffee mugs and other items at my Etsy store. And you can also become a patron. Links are in check out the links in the description below. Now, as I was saying, when it comes to world building, cities, countries, entire planets, empires, it's all the same. You have the same structure. Okay, you have the basics: geography, people, civilization, technology, magic, weapons, economy, and politics. However, when it comes to factions, you start with the basics. And each section, you have a geography, you have a people, civilization, weapons, technology, magic. Group factions have an economy, and factions are politics. They're political, but they're not. They're mini versions of a world. And in the coming video, I will break down how this all applies to factions, how to build factions, and these factions will populate, govern, or even rebel against, or be the protagonist and antagonist in your world. Depending, of course, you have to start with the basics, naming. So you need a world, you need a language, you need a history, and based on those languages and histories and politics of that world, you will have factions. You have a ruling faction, you have an opposing faction, and even the people are a faction. Technically, this would come under, in originally world building, people, but factions are specific. They have a role and a function in your story. These are not just backgrounds. These are functional, living segments of your story, and you'll build your various factions, government ministries, armies, rebels, pirates, crime groups. They're all factions. You have within ministries, you have a minister, advisors, department heads. It gets so complicated, but you don't have to do everything, right? Pick the factions you are using. Start with a name. How big is it? Where's it located? And then just build on from there. The different parts. We'll go for it more in detail and in depth in other videos. But before I do, let's just go over world building one more time, so you'll understand, to freshen your mind, start with the basics. With world, you name it. How big is it? Is it Earth-like? Then we go to geography. Natural world, flora, fauna, creation, celestial bodies, moons, or stars. And of course, my computer's always loving to freeze when I'm doing something. Now, with wildlife, you have natural creatures and unnatural creatures. Are they common? Do dragons exist and other mythical creatures? Landscape, mountain ranges, rivers, forests, desert, seas. How populated the world is, natural wonders, how were they formed, diseases, natural capital cities, other cities, flags, symbols, weather. Now, weather and climate. Now, weather's individual actions like rain, heat waves, where climate is the seasons. Is there 4 seasons, or is it, well, like in the equator, you have temperate, you don't really have temperate seasons, sorry. In the temperate, you have 4 seasons. In the polar, you have the cold. You have cold winter, heavy winter, snowing winter, storming winter, winter. And it's like in polar, polars could be polar opposites, one is heavy winter, lots of cold, dark, stormy. The other one is hot and, warmer, no snowfall, just clear, cold, crisp autumn with a bit of snow. Equator, it's going to be different. You're going to have hot, cold. So you're going to have hot with rain and cold and hot with no rain. So it's just wet and dry, hot and hotter. So that's its 4 seasons: hot, hotter, wet, and wetter. Now, what are other alternative factors to your weather? Of course, but you're going to have to break the world up into regions. Then they got people, social classes, festivals, languages, history, sayings, greetings, caste systems, family structure, marriage rights, festivals, religions, history, culture, clothing, cuisine, gods. And of course, you have magic, technology, weapons, and, do they coexist? Are they competing? The economy, how do, free market, socialism. Basically, socialism is very hard, everything but central bank. It's one of these things that are hard to define, really. I mean, don't want to go over it again. It's just, for the sake of fiction, you have most fantasy. It's going to be a feudal system. You have feudal capitalism. Feudalism lasted for centuries after capitalism. Feudalism is just a state caste system like India. It's a feudal state, whether you want to like it or believe it or not. Trade and commerce, transportation systems, and of course politics. And that's where factions come in, because with politics, we go over politics again. You have the government, form of government, monarchy, republic, empire, theocracy. With socialism, it's basically it's a union dictatorship, right? That's the easiest way to think about it. The unions control everything. Now, what are the different responsibilities of governments? These are the ministries or spheres of influence, how we want to name them. how do they operate? Magic, religion, media, education systems. How's the government perceived? Is it populist? Is it anarchist? Is it popular? Is it unpopular? Is it brutal? Is it loving, kind? You know, if you historically look at the longest lasting governments, they have actually all been monarchies, very loved by the people, despite the brutality, because you had laws and you understood them, and the people were very protected. You know, you broke the law, you were punished hard, you know. But they had real justice and a sense of justice. And so how does your justice system work? War. How is war fought? Now, once you get to that and understand that, you know, these break down and work slightly differently for things, but each faction will have a lot of overlap. So you don't have to go to great detail for everything, just enough to write your story. But you have to understand it, and then you have to be able to, how does it work in your system? And how does it work in your story? And what elements do you need the reader to know and understand in order to understand the story? So basically, you're going to write more. When you're writing, you're going to write more than you publish. And a lot of what you write is for you. And maybe one of these days, if you ever get to write a memoir, you might, or, you know, like Tolkien's notes, even most of those haven't been fully published, but you might one day have your notebook out there saying, this was my process, and everybody looks at it and goes, now your story makes sense, son. Just kidding. Well, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And next time we'll break down, go over basics again and break down the different sections and basically start building factions and to round off world building. Thank you for listening. I appreciate each and every one of you. Check out the links in the description below. Thank you to all those who support the channel. Doesn't take long to like, share, and subscribe, and doesn't cost a thing. But if you like to go the extra mile, I have Patreon and Ko-Fi links and merch store in the links in the description below. Thank you for listening. I'll see you all in the next